Hi. Hey. Hi. It's me, your void. Did you know I'm a masochist? So I, in my eternal wisdom, thought it would be funny to look at some one-star reviews of some of my favorite books. Yeah, I'm that kind of masochist. And to make this thing even more funny, I elected to go with Initiation by Alethea Faust for this first round, which is the first book in the Sex Wizards series. The newest book, book 4, just came out on the 24th, 25th? The end of October. The newest book just came out, so I thought it would be funny to read one-star reviews of the first book. Well, what is Initiation about? It is about a guy named Domini. We call him Dom. There is a joke in there somewhere. And he is so good at shagging someone that this someone decides, hey, you should go to school for magic because you are very good at shagging. Domini, in his very naive ways, doesn't know the connection between the one thing and the other until he reaches the school for magics and finds out magic is made by bonking, because this has in fact a kink-based magic system. And it is so good. I very much enjoyed this book. This book is 75 to 95% smut, depending on the perspective you have on things. This is a sex wizards novel. You are probably thinking the right thing about this book right now. Now, the bit of plot that you have is surprisingly good, in my opinion. And this is what this video is all about. Opinions. Mainly my opinions and other people's opinions that I will be critiquing. Now, if for some reason I picked out your review of this book, this is not a personal attack. This is not an attack on you as a person. This is just me having fun critiquing critiques about a book that is called Sex Wizards, okay? We're here to have a fun time. This is all in good faith. So I went to Goodreads, which arguably is a hell site on the levels of Twitter, if you ask me, and picked out some one-star reviews. And then I went to Storygraph, way better than Goodreads ever was, because on Goodreads there were only 7 reviews that were 1 star, so I also went to Storygraph and picked some from there, and I have some screenshots of that, and we will go through that together, and hopefully I will have fun and not get hurt in the process. Yay, okay, so first review. Okay, so I'm giving it 1 star just because I'm pretending I didn't skim 60% of this book. Just too many pages of very little plot and not well executed plot, you know? I like the writing though, so the star is for the writing. Again, it's a book called Sex Wizards. What were you expecting going into it? I think the plot that is there was well executed. It's just not a lot of plot, so you don't have a lot of time to develop it. It's a very simple plot. But in its simplicity, it is well executed. My humble opinion. And we all know I am an expert on having opinions. Next one. This is the worst book I've ever read. I saw it in the Kindle Unlimited books and my curiosity got the better of me. I knew it was going to be bad, but it was worse than I expected. I only finished it so I could effectively state that it's the worst book I've ever read. Plot? Who is she? We get to a steady 70-ish% before any real kind of plotline happens. That's just a whole lot of sex up until that point, which I can't really complain about because it's not like the book was pretending to be anything else. It's just bad. Don't believe the reviews telling you it's good. Well, I don't believe you and your review being bad because I read the book and I was thoroughly entertained. I mean, it's literally advertised by Alethea Faust. You know, the person who wrote the book? That this has 0 to no plot. It is literally advertised as having a maximum of 25% plot in here. We get to a steady 70-ish% before any kind of real plot line happens. Yeah, guess what? That is literally how it is advertised. And it's not the worst book in the world. I've read Terry Goodkind, okay? But I have to say, when I picked up this book and I saw it called Sex Wizards, I too wasn't expecting the amount of goodness that I eventually got from this book. I was expecting a very mediocre, quickly cobbled together thing that is 100% smut. I was pleasantly surprised when it wasn't that. All right, next one. Just glancing at it, oh boy. boy. Okay, here we go. PWP, Newbie Dom's POV. Series of scenes slapped together. Lots of different people. Dom has sex with everyone. He's turned on by everything and anything. Didn't feel it though. He doesn't question. He's milk toast. Boring. The scenes were low steam. Mechanical. Dom switched from scene to scene, but he wasn't a Dom. Constantly in his head. He wasn't sexy. Got bored. Wizard organization was corrupt and abusive. People were manipulated. SSC? Fantasy porn. I have one question. Can you write a single sentence that has more than 4 words in it? Your review is mechanical. This was painful to read! Not because of what it said, but just the way it was written. Holy. I wanna highlight this one. The Dom switched from scene to scene, but he wasn't a Dom. That is the joke. That is the joke about the fact that the main character's nickname is Dom, and that is everything he does not do in the first book. That's the point! That is the whole joke about the thing. Slap myself. The scenes were low steam? Dude, where were you when they were casting that shield spell in the forest? Where were you at the end of the book during lunchtime? The fuck is low steam in here? I mean, given there was a 3-day chastity period because of the cage situation going on, so... Fantasy porn. I mean, the series is called Sex Wizards. What were you expecting? Dom has sex with everyone, he's turned on by everything and anything. Yeah, some people are. Some people are. You apparently not, thinking that this is low steam and mechanical. Okay. Erotica, but not well done. No story structure, just cheesy moments. I mean, you are entitled to your opinion, I guess. I have read worse. I have read so much worse in erotica. Hooray for my first review! But oh no, it's negative. This book reads very much like fanfiction, which doesn't have to be a bad thing, but AO3 is free and I spent money on this. Okay. Main problem is the pacing. Our main character arrives at the school to learn magic, but is unaware of how it's practiced through BDSM. Yeah, that actually leads to kind of a funny thing in the beginning. Instead of someone telling him and giving us all an introduction/explanation of the magic system, he is immediately thrown into his first scene. Like, please, you don't have sex with someone you've just met and you really should negotiate before a scene. Yes, on the negotiation before the scene, but also he was talked through it and nothing was done to him before it was explained to him and he agreed to it. Like, every step was explained and he had to agree to every single step. Because they knew he was a newbie. Because they knew he didn't know. But also they somewhat expected him to know, at least a little bit, because of the way he was referred to the school and because of the way people usually get referred to the school. Like, it's somewhat of it's a bit of common knowledge what you do to do the magic. They just weren't expecting him to not connect the dots because he got the referral letter because he was so good in bed. And they just thought, oh, okay, you at least have the connection of magic and bonking. And then they explained the exact circumstances of the bonking to him while they were doing it. But again, he was at every single they explained to him you could stop this at any time before they did anything to him. And also, a lot of people have sex with people they just met. That is how Grindr works, for example. AO3 is free and I spent money on this. There's a second part to this. I expected more plot but wasn't disappointed when the first half of the book was just Dom fucking everyone he met. See? Sex Wizards is on the cover. Sex Wizards is between the covers. No pun intended. Maybe it is. The second half of the book contained some plot, correct, which was handled fine. See? I guess. Not gonna lie, I only read this because I wanted to read some BDSM erotica. Same. And sets us up for more plot in future books. That I sadly won't read, cause ain't no way I'm spending more money on this, lol. Well, that sounds like a you problem. Next, DNF at 27%. You gotta give me more than just kink-based magic system. Who is the main character? Aside from being very open-minded and getting his rocks off, what does he want and why? This is very basic stuff, and if I can't answer any of these questions, I'm not going to care enough to continue. There are 2 scenes where I would say you get more information about Dom other than he is willing to try everything twice. The first one being in the beginning, where we get his backstory, that he was a person living in the forest and his job is to usher people through the forest, and that he is living on his own, that he's living away from society, he's hunting and stuff, he's living his best life as a forest boy. But, and that is also an information we get from the get-go, he was injured in the way that makes it hard for him to hunt, meaning the way he is living is not sustainable anymore. And that is when he remembers he has this letter to go to this magic school, and that's why he's trying this magic stuff out. He never intended to go there, but then his circumstances changed and he had to adapt. So that's what he does. He pulls a Bear Grylls moment. And then later on, the second scene is during one of the scenes where this physical trauma, this injury is resolved, and he actually has an emotional reaction to that because his injury did not just prevent him from living his life, he was living it. This injury was also preventing him from doing something that he loved the most doing. Like, he loved using his bow. He loved shooting arrows at things. And he couldn't do that anymore because he couldn't pull back the string. And that is resolved. So I think we actually get a pretty good picture of who Dom is. I mean, sure, we not get the most deep-cut, soul-shattering information about him. This book is under 300 pages long and we have an ensemble cast. But that's what subsequent books are for, right? Fourth book just came out. It's a chonker. There are more to come in the future. But yeah, again, DNF and 27%, that's a you problem. It's just sex. Not interested in this kind. Well, go forth, be boring then. I thought the premise and the magic system was interesting, however, there is little plot to drive the narrative and the characters felt rather one-dimensional to me. It almost felt episodic to a degree. The sex scenes were somewhat decently written, at least. There is little plot to drive the narrative. That is how it is advertised! The narrative is him being Dom, learning how to do magic. So effectively, most of this book is a training montage. Every training montage feels episodic to a degree, and the training montage, in this case, is the sex scenes, which were somewhat decently written, at least, according to this review. DNF at 18%, aka almost 2 hours into the audiobook. Don't get me wrong, Blake Lockhart was killing the narration, but the story itself I don't think is my cup of tea. Fair enough. It's a wizarding school that to get a spell you do some sort of BDSM play to charge the focuses, and then you have sex, then bam, focus is all charged and ready to use as a spell. Haha, I got about 3 focuses in and I can tell I am not going to love this story. Okay, I think that's a critique of the magic system, I'm not quite sure. How else would you do that? You can't just sit on the battlefield and bonk. Like, that's not how it works. I mean, you probably could, but that would be very weird. This had a MF, MM, and looks to be another MF sexy time all with Dom and I, aka Dom, the wizard in training, learning from the teachers/masters of the different BDSM crafts. That is semi-correct. We have Dominai and Galava, which is MF. We have Dominai and Olbrick, which in the first book is MM. And we have Dominai and Kankasi. Kankasi is an intersex person and they don't define their gender any further than that. So it's not an MF. And then we also have Arlon, who is another guy, but there's no established relationship in there. He is just, the headmaster. So there's that. It had potential, but I don't know. I didn't connect with any of the characters. I do think that Ulbrich was my fave of the characters we met so far, but I just can't care about the main character to continue. Can you please use punctuation? Oh boy. That was one sentence. I am bummed because who wouldn't want to read about sex wizards? Right? Haha, but sadly I apparently don't want to read about sex wizards. Haha. Again, that sounds like a you problem. I enjoyed my time with it. DNF at 27%. Maybe I gave up early, I didn't reach the good parts, but the story was exceptionally dry to me, and I don't have the patience currently to wade through world building that doesn't do anything for me. I actually would say there is not that much world building going on, especially not until like 27. You get some world building at some points, but it's very, very small. This review makes it out as if this is like 75% world building info dumping. No. I'd actually argue that the most world building is done at the beginning of a chapter. I can't show you that because that is basically like there are little snippets of what the magic is, and it kind of feels like it is taken out of a Magic 101 book in this universe, which is also doubling up as the trigger warnings for the chapter you are about to read. Well, not necessarily trigger warnings, there are trigger warnings separate from that, but it's like content warnings, you know? The concept is way better than the writing. I would have loved more world building and character development. I think it's decent porn, but it's not a very good novel. Reading this right after the other, very funny. There will be more world building in the books after this, and there will be more character development after this. Again, this book is not even 300 pages long. What do you expect, people? This is high fantasy. This is high fantasy. There are orcs and minotaurs and shit in here. Of course you can't just plop down everything in 300 pages. Well, according to the previous review, you apparently can overload it, but how can both of these things be true at the same time? I am confusion. Cringe. Unbelievably cringy. Okay. A fascinating study in a sex-based system with a plot thinner than wet tissue paper. That was actually funny. It's called Sex Wizards. It's about sex wizards. But it's also quite well written. Someone gets it. Someone gets it. Finally someone gets it. And with that, I shall leave you to the next video on this here house side that is the Tubes of the U, I guess. I enjoyed my time with Sex Wizards, Volume 1, Book 1. If you are in for the spiciest read of your life, with every queer representation you can think of, and probably some you didn't even think of, go for it! Go for it! This is, in my opinion, surprisingly good for what it sets out to be. Like, you read the title Sex Wizards and you do have a picture in mind, don't you? It is so much more than that, in either which way. Apparently we have too little world building in here, we have too much world building in here. It is just porn with flat characters and no plot. I mean, you have to find out for yourself. I like the characters in here. I like the world building we get, both the too much and the too little of it. Yes, this is 90% porn. But what do you expect from a novel called Sex Wizards? If you made it this far in the video, leave a rainbow flag emoji or just a rainbow. I don't care. Leave any kind of rainbow down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!